So why are we all here? We want to encourage all of you to be involved in celebrating Citizen Science Month, which this year is a very special occasion of 1 million acts of science. And as a part of that, we want to know if you've ever been a part of it before. So in a poll, actually, which I will drop down because, or maybe not, yes, I will. The question would be, have you ever participated before? So if you've ever done an event before during Citizen Science Month, if you've ever connected with SciStarter to make Citizen Science Month more of a featured event in your organization, any of your thoughts there. We have about 30% people answering so far, so I'll read off the slide in the meantime. So what this means is you've taken part of the month-long celebration of citizen and community science in April, featuring thousands of projects created by you to engage the public in your research. So maybe you participate as a project leader, maybe you participate as a volunteer yourself or a facilitator, any of that. Oh, it looks like 71%. I like to get to 80. Last couple people, maybe 3, 2, 1. All right, that's okay too. It looks like most of you have not. I've got about 50% saying no, 40% saying yes, and maybe from a little bit of you. So we'll find out. Hopefully we'll know by the end of this event if you have participated. Excellent. All right, cool. So moving on here. So what is Citizen Science Month? What does it accomplish? Just to give you a little bit of brief background about what happened last year. These are our highlights. Our social media about Citizen Science Month was shared with over 1.1 million people, which is amazing. If they all did one thing this year, we would be very past our goal of the 1 million acts. So we'll see. 94% of the facilitators were very or completely likely to host a future event. So we're excited for them to come back this year in April 2024. And the past 4 CSMs have generated over 1 million data contributions. So if we can harness all of that energy into 1 year, that is what we are trying to accomplish, and we will accomplish. All right, we also work with a lot of partners, and including one that is here today. We got the Association for Advancing Participatory Sciences in the corner there. We also have Science Friday in the chat, so hi Sandy again. So we work with a lot of people to get a lot of things done during April, and so if you've worked with any of these organizations or you represent any of them, we're very excited to continue that and use it to our shared advantage. I'm going to pause and take a breath and pass it over to Darlene, founder of SciStarter, so she can talk a little bit about what SciStarter is and does.
Yeah, hi everyone. I recognize some names there. Thanks for joining us. So I'm Darlene Cavalier, professor of practice at Arizona State University, which is a research platform of SciStarter. And I founded SciStarter a number of years ago to help more people find opportunities to engage in participatory science. So basically people add their projects or we import from a number of different sources. And as such, we're the largest canonical source of connecting different citizen science and participatory science projects up. Our tools on SciStarter are almost all free, thanks to support from the National Science Foundation and NASA and the National Institutes of Health, some private foundations and companies like Verizon. And in doing so, we aim to support everybody you see on this screen, basically, participants first and foremost. This is really who we try to focus all of our attention on. So we're constantly looking at ways to reach more people and sustain engagement and grow engagement for those that do get involved. The goal is not for us to have them stay on SciStarter, it's to help them find their next adventure and possibly even continue engagement. And we see from different research that people actually do get involved in more than one project. And when they do, they're better volunteers too. So Karen Cooper has done some work on that. And in a couple of slides, I'm going to show you where to find that research. Participants are able to find projects, track their contributions or their participation in the projects, be trained, and just be very confident. So by the time they're engaging in your projects, they're ready to go. Project leaders, we help you recruit volunteers. Sometimes you need targeted people involved, like maybe you need somebody in a geographic location or people with access to tools or different skill sets, maybe different ages, and we help you find them. And at the same time, we enable you to kind of see how engagement in your project, what else people are interested in who are engaged in your project too. And we know that several project leaders, this has led to new joint projects that they do together because they realize that their audiences actually cross over and they weren't aware of that before looking at the data here. For organizations, we call these facilitators. So we're a facilitator and we help other facilitating organizations engage their members in doing this science. So we work very closely with the Girl Scouts of USA on a number of different programs. They use SciStarter in a very curated experience to prepare and find projects that they want to engage in. We share analytics back with the Girl Scouts to help them measure collective impact. And then we actually learn from the Girl Scouts too, and we apply that to other work that we do. For example, the Girl Scouts, in order to get a badge, they don't just do a project, they also have to take action on that project. So it's really opened our eyes to how we might provide some more scaffolding to projects to enable people to take action and really localize their involvement in what otherwise might be a kind of esoteric global project. We work very closely with hundreds of libraries around the country. They're all part of a network that we run to really help train librarians, help them in their capacity, and they're varied in their capacity, be able to confidently talk about citizen science, introduce different projects. They even offer and circulate kits that have everything somebody needs to get involved in a project, and then also offer safe space. So people can come together, they can draw upon their conclusions in their engagement and find local solutions together. Also, that's also a way that we help reach more people too, because people who use libraries, they're extremely diverse. They might be using a library because that's their only way to get Wi-Fi or a computer. They might be there for NA or AA meetings or job skills training. They might be there to use the air conditioning. So we do love our work with libraries, and they play a very important role during Citizen Science Month too. So you'll see some other ways that we work with corporate volunteer programs and stuff too. So we work with researchers. I mentioned Arizona State University, and also our friends at North Carolina State University and others have published research made possible by the data they find in SciStarter. So by understanding the movement, the behavior, and the barriers that people have when they're trying to progress along a spectrum of opportunities to engage, we can start to look at that and make sense of it. So on scistarter.org/research, if Roland or Emma would like to drop that in chat, you'll find our evaluations, you'll find published research that's there, and feel free to use it and build on it. We would love that. We also use that research to make the platform better and our work better too. And then website owners, plenty of people who run websites who just want to be a source of helping their communities find opportunities to engage. We have a lot of free tools for them to just pop up customized versions of SciStarter on their site. In fact, they either use this embeddable widget, nice and simple, but we also have 3 partners that we're very excited about who have are building their own versions of SciStarter. That's SciStarter UK, SciStarter Australia, and SciStarter Africa, which they'll be rolling out this year. Super excited about that. Next slide, please. That's everything I just said basically, but that's what the site looks like if you haven't become familiar with it. Again, aimed at the public. And the reason why you don't know all that stuff I just described happens on SciStarter, because that's not anything really that a participant or would-be participant needs to know or needs to be kind of bogged down with. They're here to learn what this is and to find a project or an event. So SciStarter, just like I just described, we help the public, scientists, researchers, facilitators. It's a research platform of ASU and NC State. It's a hub for thousands of citizen science projects and events. Incidentally, when it's updated in one place, we help make sure that it's carried forward and updated in other places. So that's part of the canonical source that I mentioned before, supported by federal agencies, private foundations, and companies. The rate at which our membership is growing is impressive, I think. We have 180,000 members now, millions of visitors. The only reason to have an account is if you want to kind of track what you're doing, and then also, save projects, track, and then also earn credit for contributions that you're making to different projects. And that becomes important for like the Girl Scouts, as I mentioned. They actually need evidence that you've done a project. So these are called affiliate projects that use APIs and other web tools that report back to SciStarter when a SciStarter member has contributed data to that project. That's how the Girl Scouts can assign a bunch of different projects. That's how a teacher can make lists of different projects on SciStarter, assign them to a class, and track and support the progress of her students through that. Next slide. Such a big, messy poster. This was a poster. And so, but you can find this on scistarter.org/about, and it basically tells the story of the ecosystem. You know, same thing I've just been saying, we help the public, and it just talks about how we do that. Help the public gain awareness, confidence in learning, help them access projects, events, and tools, increases, tracks, assess, and shares progress. Lots of training materials are available to the project, to the public too, and they are sequential. So you start with one training and that opens up all types of additional trainings. Some are for professional development. Some librarians will get professional development credits as well. The badges that we link to the trainings they use a taxonomy, a skills taxonomy that aligns with LinkedIn. So it makes it much easier for somebody to translate their informal experiences here into words that matter for some type of formal accreditation, whether that's looking for a new job, and in some cases it's a prerequisite or a requisite for college courses. Communications, we have a growing media mini empire of participatory sciences. We have our email that goes out to 180,000 people. That's twice a month. We have, or that's once a month. We have a newsletter that goes out twice a month. That's probably up to 80,000 people. We have, and there's some crossover, but not entirely. We have a blog that's on SciStarter, but also you'll see it on Discover Magazine's website. It's a lot of people who we get to reach there. We have these live events every Tuesday. And you'll find Emma and Roland hosting another live event. Usually this is to connect a project leader to talk, to meet their volunteers and to gain new volunteers and to really answer questions directly. We've been told by the project leaders who have participated in that not only do they see an increase in engagement in their projects, but they actually get some good design feedback, and they're able to kind of tweak the design of their projects. We have a podcast. It was just voted the #1 podcast for citizen science. Believe it or not, there's something like 10 that are out there, and that's led by Bob Hirschon, who was a communications person at AAAS. And the podcast you'll start to see is actually a video podcast, and those video tools are used for social media more and more, a way that we're reaching people through. We'll just go back to the poster, Emma. TikTok, Instagram, you name it. You'll see more of our team out there doing fun things too. Okay, and then customizable resources. This is especially good for libraries and museums, but it's open to everybody. And you'll see later when we talk about Citizen Science Month, how many customizable resources are available to you to encourage your community, your viewers, your listeners to get involved in the 1 million acts of science. You can use anything that we have. We even have pictures that we've invested in, professional photos that you're free to use or reuse. I already mentioned how we help the facilitators. These are event facilitators. These are organizations. The partner network is very strong. Those tiny little logos there will give you a hint of who they are. I already described how we help the researchers. You can find some of that outcome. If you're a researcher here, we're happy to work with you. And then some of these APIs to help track participation. And then, of course, for the project and event leaders, everything that I mentioned is really designed to help you efficiently work with, find, support, learn about your volunteers. Next slide. 1 million acts of science. So all of April will be helping to encourage people to get involved in a project, add data, analyze data, attend a training. Each one of these counts as an act. And so while we're really focused on actual engagement in a citizen science project, we are leaving room open for libraries that are training people to get involved in projects. We're counting that as an act for sure. So 1 million acts of science starts April 1st, ends April 30th. And I'm going to describe how we're reaching out, how you can leverage this campaign, and how we're planning to track all these different acts too. And Emma, you might want to queue up your screen to show Kevin's wireframes for what the tracking might look like too. And next slide. This is an act. It's fairly flexible, but we're really focused on the actual engagement in a project. But you can also attend or host an online event or in person. And we see more and more and more organizations, people, groups, schools, nature centers starting to plan and host their events. We're really excited about that. Many of them are doing it to introduce the concept to people and then help find out what's of interest to their communities through that event. Of course, join a project, analyze online images, share pictures, all the things that you're aware of that people can do to get involved in citizen science. Next slide. And I think I pass it over to Jennifer or Rihanna now.
Perfect.
Well, thanks, Darlene, and thank you, Emma, for coordinating this event. It's really great to be part of advancing what can be a global moment for participation in this field. So I'm Jennifer Shirk. I'm the director of the Association for Advancing Participatory Sciences. More about that in a moment and why it is not yet rolling off the tongue. I want to also introduce Rihanna Putnam, who is our program manager and is here with us for just a few minutes yet. So I want to give her a chance to say hello, whether that's just waving or chiming in.
Great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
AAPS is a new name for a 10-year-old plus organization formerly known as the Citizen Science Association. And Emma, if you can go to the next slide, that name is is newly reflecting the broadest range of partnership approaches, traditions, and histories where members of the public are advancing research through partnerships, large or small, local or global, in one moment or for a lifetime. We are an organization that, in parallel to SciStarter, provides a professional and supportive home and community for practitioners of all sorts who are leading, managing, researching, evaluating, developing technologies for, otherwise part of making these projects powerful and possible for the many people who take part in these moments of science. So community science, citizen science, volunteer-based monitoring, a wide range of practices. We provide a space for making connections about what works. We're an organization that focuses on the practices, how it is that these partnerships come into being, what makes them work well, and providing a home for people who may feel very alone within their own institution, their own organization, their own city or town, a place to find like-minded individuals to exchange ideas and practices through a couple of landmark opportunities. So one, we host our own event annually. We have a conference. It now happens in alternating years, in person in a large scale, or this year, we're doing our virtual event, which will take place in June. If you're interested in an opportunity to exchange ideas with other practitioners, whether it's to share your research or a story or an emerging idea, this is the time and space to do it. We attract a global community, hundreds of people who sign on to be part of symposia, sharing posters, parts of deep discussions. We're a very engaged audience. This is the time and space, and that call for presentations is open until mid-February. We're also this year piloting regional events. If you happen to be in Florida or in the Kentuckiana region, look for more soon, and other regions that are holding events with details forthcoming. There are a number of other things that we do. I wanted to mention conferences because this is timely. We're globally connected with other associations around the world. We have webinars, emerging series of courses that will be rolling out over the next year or so. Groups and member leaders are really advancing the field in all directions and cross-cutting areas, whether that is on managing how to manage your data, looking at ethical issues of participation. We have a group that's really leading in equity and diversity, 2 groups focused on that front, environmental justice and other areas of equity, and generally pushing these big ideas forward in cross-cutting ways across all kinds of projects, again, large or small, on any topic in any area of research. We have a journal that's open access to read, and one of the big things that in all spaces, and the journal exemplifies this, is that we promote excellence and evidence-based practices, and really help provide a space where we can all become aware of the information that's out there, whether in journals or from colleagues, are available for building and advancing our own work. So Rihanna has put a number of links into the chat, and I'm happy to connect with folks about any of this, but I wanted to exemplify this idea of journals and evidence-based practices by sharing one snapshot of evidence related to events and the way to take advantage of the power of this moment of 1 million acts of science. And I have a snapshot in the next slide of a journal article that I have just come across. One of the things that I get a chance to do this particular semester is teach a class of graduate students with Professor Austin Mast at Florida State University. And he and colleagues published a paper a number of years ago looking at events that engage the public in a one-time opportunity around a particular project. He happens to lead the iDig Bio initiative, and they host events called We Dig Bio. DIG stands for digitizing collections. We Dig Bio is a partner on the 1 Million Acts of Science and Citizen Science Month. And long story short, they looked at a number of different one-time projects back in 2017, 2018, when this was published, and found that events increase, not surprisingly, contributions to the project on the day of the event. And you can see that illustrated in broad brushstrokes here. You're not here for a lecture, so I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, although I will link to this open access article if you want it. Sorry about this. I have earbuds that like to claim my audio in affected moments. So they not only saw that participation increased on the day of the event, but it increased stickiness. More people participated afterwards. More people signed up. More people found out about and got involved in these projects. They were looking not at their own, but a number of different online and in-person projects that leveraged events. Their paper talked a little bit about the opportunity cost of hosting an event, and I bring it up here because it's an added reason to take advantage of the moment where other organizations are handling a lot of the opportunity cost, in this case, SciStarter. And to host an event can be an upfront investment, large or small. In their case, they noticed that it was well worthwhile. But when others are doing the big heavy lift and mobilizing a lot of media attention, such as is happening through SciStarter, that just magnifies your opportunity to latch on to the attention of this moment, to drive participation on the day or days of your event, and grab onto the opportunity for that stickiness and participation in the days to follow. So they're not the only ones who are publishing about events. I will mention that people are publishing in particular a lot of things about media moments and leveraging the opportunity like this from the perspective of media attention to taking part in an event. And I'll add some links again in the chat if you want to go deeper into research. But this one in particular gives some tips and ideas of what made for a good event and the outcomes, and these kinds of best practices are what we as a community at AAPS are working to drive attention to make connections around, and we welcome you all to become part of that, bringing your ideas, sharing your publications and your insights, or just more generally connecting with folks like the leaders of this publication, many of the folks on this webinar today, if you're interested in exchanging ideas about how to make events or projects or data collection opportunities or recruitment and engagement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, part of your professional work and going deeper into how this all unfolds. So with that, I will turn it back over to Emma to take us onward with the webinar.
And I'll actually just pass it right on to Darlene again to talk a little bit more. But thank you so much for all that context too. I think it's important for us to recognize the evidence-based data that we already have for using events and using interactions with the public to actually boost all this work. So go ahead, Darlene.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. And we're very happy to have been part of AAPS from before it was AAPS. It's a great organization. If you haven't joined yet, you should. Okay, back to 1 million acts of science in April. Next slide. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's a busy slide. Sorry, Emma, I hacked your slide here a little bit. But for those of you who have a project, or an event, one of the first things that we recommend that you do is to add it to SciStarter if it's not there already. Very easy to do. SciStarter.org/add. There you'll see an option to add a tool, an event, or a project. Probably you're going to pick project. There's an option there for you to become a SciStarter affiliate. A lot of details there on that next URL, SciStarter.org/API. I will say that's probably a little overwhelming. It's probably better to just reach out to us. We'll have contact information later and say, I'm very interested in becoming an affiliate, because we have found a way for every single type of project to become an affiliate. Where there's a will, there's a way. And again, the affiliate allows us to really throw a lot of promotional weight behind your project, because we know that's a project we'll be able to report back to other people, collective impact. Bye, Rihanna. Rihanna's going to leave us for a minute. So then once you add it, you should come back and visit. And on your project page, you can find project stats. You can see if there's been feedback. You can see about contributions, especially if you're an affiliate. And you can kind of get a look at not just data contributions, but how they relate to other projects as well. Next slide. And then, of course, as a project leader, we really encourage you to take advantage of 1 million acts of science. And the goal here isn't for you to have to do a lot more work. Hopefully, maybe not any more work other than use your own words, or you can use some of the email templates that we have for you, or some of the social media templates that we have for you, to really just re-inspire your community to get back involved in your project this April, and doing it through, hey, we're going to be part of this 1 million acts of science challenge taking place all throughout April. Maybe you haven't been involved in the project for a little while. This is an invitation for you to come back to our project. Perhaps one thing you want to do is just host an online event like this if you want, and just say, just to remind everybody how to do this project. And let me share with you some outcomes that have happened since the last time you've been here. Those are all good practices, just re-engaging your community. And we hope, and we're seeing signs that many projects are planning to use the 1 million acts to re-engage their communities. We know that there's some attrition issues with citizen science, like all volunteer programs, and hopefully this is one way you can use it. Okay, next slide. And if you're planning an event for Citizen Science Month, on the Citizen Science Month website, we have many, many resources for you. We have resources to help you plan an event. If you're a project leader, an event coordinator, or you run an organization, if you're from a library or museum, you'll find, I think, really fun, easy to use things to plug and play. We have templates for what we call event recipe cards. These are designed to have the who, what, where, when, how, approximate amount of time, how to prepare for it, follow-up questions you might want to use as prompts, links to fun additional resources that we're aware of, recommendations for younger groups where you might want to print out a worksheet to have people practice first. So there's 5 or 6 different recipe cards. And again, there's a template there so you can use it for your own project. And if you do, we'll come back to this later, but if you do, share it with us and we're happy to put it up on the website too. So plan an event, register your event, same link that Roland put in chat earlier. Just add your event so we know about it. Or if you already use Eventbrite or something like that, that's fine too. Just give us a heads up so we can figure out a way to coordinate there. Thank you. And we'll promote it. And then every event and project will be highlighted during Citizen Science Month. I should say every event taking place in April will be highlighted during Citizen Science Month. And it doesn't matter if you have a hyperlocal event or even a hyperlocal project, because the way SciStarter works is that people searching for things find local activities to happen in addition to anything that's available online or globally, because of course they can do that too. So in other words, they're not going to find something that's happening in a small town in Pennsylvania if they're looking at SciStarter from Philadelphia, California. Okay, and then use the event resources to promote your event. There's evaluation forms in there if you want to use those to as surveys to see how your project and event did. Okay, next slide.
I'm actually going to pause this too here
Yes.
because I think this would be a good spot to actually show the website briefly before we go too heavy into resources. So yeah, and the resource or the page that I will show you all as our as the website is just citizensciencemonth.org. You can also find it on 1millionaccessscience.org and just through SciStarter or SciStarter.org / Citizen Science Month. And it looks like this. So when you get here, you'll scroll down and be able to see all this. So these are the 3 items that were just shown on the screen. So if you go to event support, you'll see our lovely, very long list of steps to get you started, especially for facilitators. So if you do plan on doing an event, these are like natural steps for you to go through, but also involves a lot of links to different resources. And what Darlene was just mentioning about the event support or the event recipe cards, that's these ones. So we made a few for projects that we have mostly in connection with our library kits. Citizen science kits built into, or citizen science projects built into a kit for people to rent out from a library. And so we built those so that people would, libraries and facilitators would be able to turn that project immediately into an event, which was very helpful for all of them. So if you and your project are thinking this is useful, you can absolutely take that template of those event support or event recipes and just refurbish it for your project and send it on to us, as was mentioned, because we'd love to have more on here and more available in our public Google Drive for it. I'm going to take us back to the slides because then we'll go through the various ways in which you can participate very specifically on the 1 million Acts side and ways you can utilize all the tools through SciStarter in general and also just as a within 1 million Acts. Darlene, do you want me to continue or do you want to?
Go ahead. Thank you.
Excellent. So we have a lot of advice for you all. So take and pick what you like and figure out what works for you. And we'd love to converse with you on any of these things. And we'll give you access, which you already have access, but there is a sign up form to be a part of the featured project. So we'll mention that in a minute as well. So just as a basic understanding of what advice we generally like to give and we want to encourage you to do is about the volunteers, reaching out to that community. And so our top level advice is engaging the volunteers around a common goal. And 1 million Acts of Science allows you to do that pretty easily because the goal's already been made. You can be a part of that, or you can just have the 1 million Acts of Science goal. So if you're interested in hosting a challenge for your participants or a competition of some sort to validate a couple of top leaderboard volunteers, that really excites people and makes people more interested in participating. So we want to see how that pans out this April. You can also connect with organizations that are looking for subject matter experts. So as a project leader yourself, it is important to note that there are reasons for you to be the subject matter expert to support organizations and libraries, for example, that are often looking for these things. And it's a win-win situation. The library or the organization gets some really expert perspectives, and you also just get to share part of your life that you really enjoy and keep moving, keep promoting through that citizen science project or community science project. I did write a couple of examples in here, being the International Citizen and Community Science Library Network. It's international now, so reaching out to a library allows you to check in with them about what they need. If they're not in the network, you can let them know it exists, and we will thank you for that. There are also all kinds of organizations near you, like science centers and museums that might just be looking for like guest spots to be a part of. And Akron Zoo, which as our friend Carrie Bassett actually gave me this example the other day, where maybe it's not necessarily connected to your project exactly, but it's connecting you to the community where you will eventually, it will be a mutually beneficial relationship where you contribute to or are part of their events and are therefore used as a resource for them. So just as a long-term also, there are ways to use your expertise to be a part of something in April or before April to then extend that process and make it an even stronger partnership. And maybe connect it back to your citizen science project in the future too. So we also would love to have you encourage your actual volunteers to host events. So in the idea of not having all the stress on you, volunteers are really motivated people, especially if they're strong volunteers who take a lot of time doing your projects, because that means that they just really love what they're doing. So if they're interested, they can host their own bio blitzes or competitions or hackathons or catch-a-thon for stall catchers and so much more. So letting them take the creative license to be a part of 1 Million Acts of Science would be an incredible resource. And I bet many of your volunteers would be super happy to do that, especially if they're already in contact with you and really value that experience. So we already mentioned this one, but I'll just note it really quickly. So the event recipe card that's on there, this will help your volunteers to create those events. So if you wanted to give them an option of like, we've already built the setup for you, you just have to take it and run with it and bring your own creative genius to it. You can build them a recipe card to help them make that happen. And we will absolutely post it if it fits the same criteria. We also have a media toolkit, which Darlene teased a little bit earlier about how you can use our template emails and such. We want to make it really easy for you to do social media. And so that's an example of how to do so. We have a media toolkit that will keep growing too. So you might check back in on the media toolkit as you get closer to April and notice, oh, there's a new post that I really want to try, or examples that have come out from SciStarter as the account holder on a social media platform. And so feel free to use those and tag us and we'll amplify as much as humanly possible. Excellent. And that includes email templates and making your resources visible. So even if it's just branding a new resource you want to publicize as a, hey, this is totally usable within April as 1 Million Acts of Science, that's a way to kind of get a little bit more, action and impressions on your resources. All right, I'm going to pause to take a breath, but also pass the mic over to our friend who is Carrie, because FrogWatch USA is actually already a member of the featured projects, which is on the SciStarter website for Citizen Science Month, and she's already gotten started. So I wanted to give her a chance to speak about what Carrie's done to get involved with 1 Million Acts of Science and what she plans to do in the future. So I'll go ahead and stop talking so you can take over.
Thank you, Emma. So yeah, I'm Carrie Bassett. I am the Education Mission Manager at the Akron Zoo and also the National FrogWatch Coordinator, which is why I'm here today. So yeah, I was really excited to see that SciStarter was doing this 1 Million Acts of Science. I saw it pop across my Facebook feed and I thought it was really cool. So I just shared it on the FrogWatch page, and then SciStarter contacted me about doing a little bit more, and it has been super easy to go through and to become one of these activities that are encouraging the 1 Million Acts of Science. So some of the steps that I did have to take, like I said, they were very simple. We did have to update our project on SciStarter because I took over FrogWatch a little over a year ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, and the website on SciStarter still had the old information on it. So I just had to get access to that and update it. It was very, very simple to scroll through and update our activity or our project on SciStarter. then we signed up as a participating project. So I think I just filled out a Google form and expressed interest in becoming one of the participating projects to go along with the 1 Million Acts of Science. And like I said, I announced it on our social media page. So I kind of did like a preliminary announcement, and then my goal is to announce it more to the chapter coordinators, because FrogWatch is ran using local chapters as opposed to one giant national hub for everything. So my plan is to talk to the local chapters so that they can share with theirs, and then also share as we're training our volunteers about how important it is to get all these acts of science done during Citizen Science Month, just kind of as an advertisement piece. So I'm hoping to share that and also share it across our zoo, because we are not the only citizen science project that the zoo does. So I'm kind of hoping to share where we can all of that information. Next slide, Emma. Thank you. So coming up next, encouraging my network, the other chapters, like I mentioned, to plan events and celebrate, and then making sure that whenever we do post on social media, making sure we do the hashtag 1 Million Acts of Science so that it gets tracked and tagged all properly. So yeah, encouraging the network to basically kind of step up and participate where they can. So usually we get some fun participation that way, and I'm really excited to see if this can encourage the amount of individual observations that we get through our citizen science project. And then I'm also going to be letting SciStarter know about our public participation throughout the month. So their plan was to reach out weekly. I said, I can do the best job that I can going weekly, because it does tend to be a busy month for us. But also at the end of the month, I can send them one big update with all of the different observations that we had entered in through FrogWatch throughout the month of April. So the way our platform works is I can just do a search to look for how many observations were entered, and I can simply give them that number so that they can use that to keep their tracker going for their 1 Million Acts of Science. And like I said, submit the final count. So I'm thinking this is actually going to be a fairly easy lift for us. And I'm excited to participate, though, because SciStarter seems like such a fantastic organization to partner with on this. So I'm very excited, and I really am, I can't stress to you guys enough that it's been very simple so far. So it's been an enjoyable experience and very simple to get participating in this. They are doing a lot of the work for us.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Yeah.
Sorry, Darlene, did you want to say something?
No, I just want to thank Carrie for all of that, for every word that you said, and for the reminder, because Carrie was our first kind of pilot project here, and you actually did everything right. You noticed that the page wasn't updated, so you updated it, and that's really important. It's stuff that most people forget, and actually we forget to remind people of that. So now that's part of our workflow here, that we'll remind people, add and update your project. And then a step that you mentioned too that I want to clarify is you do one part on SciStarter where you add and update your project or your event. The other part is to let us know if you want your project to be part, or your event to be part of 1 Million Acts of Science. Emma, if you could pull up the screen just one more time, I'm going to show everybody where that is, because it is important that you sign up to be part of it. This is the only way that we can, first of all, keep you updated on progress, and then also reach you when it's time for us to measure how many acts have taken place. And we are also very flexible. We'll ask, is at the end of the month good? Or is, once a month better for you? What am I talking about? Every week, or whatever the timing might be. So on the website, if you show the website, the actual website. Yeah. So we go up to the home page. Oh, if you were to just go to 1 Million Acts of Science or citizensciencemonth.org, they both go to the same place. You'll see when you scroll down here, that's the home part. You see those tabs at the top. Those are the home parts. And you see ways on many different pages of how to participate. Most of you tuning in here would sign up as a project, a platform, or an event organizer. That's the one with the binoculars. You would click, and it's a simple Google form. You don't have to have a SciStarter account. You just sign up and you tell us, yes, I'm interested. And if I do this, I commit to, reporting back, spreading the word and engaging people, reporting back to you how many acts, estimated number of acts. In addition to that, all those affiliate tools that we mentioned earlier with the APIs, that's going to be pulling in information. So we'll know how many SciStarter member contributions have been made to different projects too. So that's cool. Then we have Roland, who's on the line here. Roland has, as part of his workflow, we're working with Zooniverse, iNaturalist, SciStarter.org, Anecdata, different platforms that are out there to do regular checks of how many acts of science have been performed this week. That's how we know we're going to get to 1 million acts of science. It's going to happen. It's just a lot of work on our end, not your end. As long as you commit to doing something, spreading the word. If you're on social media, use that hashtag. That's another way that we're going to track some things. And also, speaking of social media, we have a number of federal agencies who will do a day during the month of April to really spread the word on their platforms. We're working with them to develop the posts, the interactive posts that are out there, really encouraging people to get involved in different projects, sharing information about the outcomes, reminding people of how the federal agencies are supporting a lot of this work as well. So our other good media partner that we have is, we just saw Sandy just left, but Science Friday plays a very important role here. National Geographic, of course, and then Discover Magazine. You'll see a lot with Discover Magazine. It's something like 4 million Facebook followers they have, 2 million, another 2 million on Twitter. So you're going to hear a lot about 1 million acts of science. Those projects and events that register on that Google form on citizensciencemonth.org, those are the ones we're really going to be paying attention to. Those are the ones you'll see us doing promotions for and so forth, because we know that those projects have committed to reporting back to us. That's actually what we need. So I will go back to Emma.
Excellent. I went out of order, so I apologize. I need to go back and see. Oh, no, we're good. Okay. Yes, that was where we were going to leave our last main step, is just giving you the resource to keep going and sign up on your own. So that first step that Carrie took to sign up as a citizen science project or platform or organization is that link that Roland will drop in the chat for you in a moment here. And in addition to that, we did want to show you like the beta version of how we're going to be tracking those 1 million acts in the future. So if anyone's curious, the early drafts that we're working on is about something like this. So we're excited to see the final product sometime in the next couple weeks where we can start showing it off. So if you're excited to see your projects listed and your volunteers named and thanked for their hard work, this is our process that we're in the middle of to make those highlights and spotlight all the amazing volunteers we have out there. So,
and that's back to Emma and just show the second page of what happens. I just noticed that today when you were, yay, when you reach 1 million, hooray, fireworks. And so the other part of this, if you scroll down a little bit, and of course it will look different than this because this is just a wireframe. This is tracking, but also giving recognition to projects, to individuals who might sign up. So there'll be a reporting mechanism here too. And this is our first year ever attempting this. So a bit of it is an experiment and we'll learn from it and then see what's next. So thank you for doing that. And then Emma, do you want to open it up for questions or what's good for you?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the next slide. Perfect timing. If there are any questions, feel free to let us know in the chat or in the Q&A. We also will have our email shown in a little bit, but I'll just go ahead and type it in too. So if you do want to reach out to us and ask more questions about how to get involved, you're not sure, or if you have ideas and whatnot, info@SciStarter.org. There's a whole group of us who gets those emails. So we'll have the ability to respond to you with some good information. Yeah, if there's any questions, we can also respond to them now. And until then,
I think it was Penelope I saw in the chat introducing yourself, all the amazing projects that you help coordinate. Those are awesome. I've heard of most of them. Then other people talking about the bio blitzes. That's a big one too. So many creative ways to do this too. Just know that our whole goal here is to show you that we're here to help. We have resources and we really hope that you'll help frame things around the 1 million acts of science for us to learn too.
yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some of those projects. I hadn't tried any of those yet. Nice. Thanks, Penelope, for mentioning all those. Are they all on SciStarter, I hope? All of them. If they're not, add them. Excellent. All right. Well, if there aren't any immediate questions or we're still thinking about what this means for your individual projects or how you want to get started, I'll go ahead and close this out as well, but feel free to drop anything in the chat and we can return to questions in a moment here. If you do want to join the featured list of projects, again, super easy form to fill out, but I did want to mention that we are encouraging you to come to one of our support call events for 30 minutes to join us for on the February 14th or March 13th for support calls for 1 million acts. And this is just a part of our monthly series of like open, it's kind of an office hour where I'll be there along with our library network lead to essentially just work with you on what you're doing and hear feedback on how it's going for you. If you need help or just want to hear other people's ideas, our most recent one we had like a week ago or so, we basically just shared our ideas. There weren't like a whole ton of questions. It was more like, here's what I'm doing. I'm curious what you all are doing. And it was a great just community sharing practice between, in that case, it was mostly libraries. So if you're interested in just having an open call to just discuss the thoughts and learn from each other and brainstorm, that's a great opportunity to do so. If you're interested in SciStarter Live in general, the webinar, since this happens pretty much every week, February 6th and 13th, the 6th, the FrogWatch USA will be back. So Carrie is going to have her whole episode to herself next week, which will be great. And then on the 13th, we are talking to Monkey Health Explorer. So if you're curious about how we work with our partner projects to do a whole event together, feel free to join, because if you would like to be featured and have like specific moments in time throughout the year, we'd love to work with you on how to promote your project. So looking forward to that as well. Excellent. Yay! Oh, awesome, Marianne. I'm glad you're here. That's too funny. Okay. Excited for Monkey Health. Excellent. So lastly, if any of you are interested in coming to any of our other events, we do have a partnership with NASA that we refer to as Do NASA Science Live. Lost my mind for a second. And our next event is on the 21st of February. So if you're curious about those events that are a little bit bigger caliber and you'd like to see a bunch of NASA projects, you're welcome to join us. We would love all of you to be a part of it. You can learn a lot from each other just knowing about the other projects too. So if you're interested, go ahead and join us for then as well. Here is our slide with all of the resources. So as you know, as the project leaders who might have a project on SciStarter, a lot of this interacts with you. So asking the project leaders and asking the community, you might see these things on SciStarter and you get messages through SciStarter. So take a moment and look through SciStarter one of these days and just see how it feels like for the user too, if you haven't already, because it might benefit you to see like what that means for how you should present your information too. Yeah, and that's all of the things. We also do have a survey if any of you are willing to tell us how we do on these events. And we hope to see you at the next support call in February if you're interested in being a featured project. And I'll leave it at that. Darlene and my friend Jennifer, yes, and Carrie, any other thoughts about SciStarter Month and the future? I'll go ahead and stop my share.
Excellent. Thank you.
Lots of information for everyone. Good luck digesting. We'll send you a follow-up email.
A lot of links.